Hello guys. So a few of the metrics to talk with, right? So the thing is, we talk about the price to earning multiple. Every time we're trying to talk about the price to earning multiple and all the valuations we tend to do for any set of companies, we are doing it upon the price to earning multiple. But here, one thing we need to understand is that price to earning multiple might not be a correct metric to value every type of company. Though we have been trying to bifurcate the price to earning multiple with the PG ratio. Now here the PEG ratio stands for the price earning growth ratio. But this session will not talk about the price earning growth ratio, right? We have talked about that ratio multiple times. You can watch the previous sessions and videos. But in general, we'll try to understand that if you're trying to value a company based upon price to earning ratio or trying to value an index based upon price to earning ratio always, is it good or bad? The answer is it is absolutely wrong. There are certain set of industries where the price to earning ratio will give you a false number, will give you a false indicator. It might not be the correct way to judge the valuation of those sectors based upon the price to earning. And hereby the price to book value comes into place. Though we have talked about the price to book value as well, but just to tell you in general, in case of price to book value, we are taking into account the current market price of the share in the numerator, same as price to earning, and dividing it by the book value per share. Now, what is book value per share? It is simply the book value divided by the outstanding share. Again, book value is also a derived number. We have talked about this ratio from the calculation perspective deep dive in many of our posts on LinkedIn, right? And on the YouTube as well. But just to tell you in general, कि book value क्या होती है company की? So book value is simply your equity. Book value is nothing but your shareholders' equity. How do we calculate the book value? It is simply the total assets of a firm minus the total liabilities of a firm. Total assets minus total liabilities give you the book value. And anyways, your total assets minus total liabilities is the shareholders' equity, right? So बहुत सी ऐसी कंपनीज हैं, बहुत से ऐसे सेक्टर्स हैं, उनके केस में we use the price to book value only. And price to earning might not be the correct measure. The one major sector is the banks, especially towards the banking and the NBFC space, right? Be it private sector bank, be it the public sector bank, be it any type of NBFC. Those need to be valued upon the price to book value ratio. For everyone who is valuing those type of companies based upon price to earning and commenting upon their valuations being undervalued, closer to fair valuation, or overly valuation are completely wrong. Never rely upon a person who is trying to value a company or providing you commentary upon the valuation of the bank based upon price to earning multiple. No, that banks, NBFCs are always valued upon your price to book value multiple. Because for those set of companies, we look at the book value. So earning remain important, but the way their PNL is constructed, the way their balance sheet is constructed is entirely different. You talk about the net interest income, then you have some other operating income, then you get the profitability. Because the earning of the bank is based upon book value. How does a bank make money? The bank takes loan and gives you loan. The bank takes loan and gives you loan. The interest rate at which the bank takes loan, right? And the interest rate the bank gives you loan. For example, the bank takes loan at an interest rate of 5%. The bank won't be giving you at 5%. The bank shall be giving you at some basis point above that 5% based upon your CIBIL score, your credit score, your risk-taking appetite, right? Assumingly, it gives you at 8%. 8% minus 5% is the spread. It's your net interest margin, net interest income that the bank makes, right? So bank का काम ही यही है कि on the basis of the book, bank की book is loan. It has to take loan, it has to give loans. Based upon that, it tends to make some net interest income, right? And again, why the book is very important for banks? Because the book, the asset book, basically tells you about the quality of the business, the quality of the balance sheet. Because there might be some non-performing assets, there might be some defaulted assets, and that quantum is adjusted with that book only. Earnings में there is no such metric that you won't be able to adjust your default, right? So that book needs to be adjusted against defaults. The book is adjusted against provisions. You have some gross NPAs, you adjust those against the provisions, you get the net NPAs, right? All that adjustment is being done in the book. If you have a book of 100 rupees, for example, right? You have some gross NPAs of 10. You have a net NPA, you have some provisions of 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. So 100 minus 5, 95 becomes your net book. Correct? So book value can be adjusted against your provisions to get the net NPA. So that whole number of your provisions, all those kind of defaults get adjusted in the book value. Be it for banks, be it for NBFCs. So for such type of companies, price to earning is not a right metric. Also, one more thing I will tell you. The thing is, debt is a raw material for the BFSI space, or especially for the banking and the NBFC space, right? Debt is mandatory. For the other type of companies, debt is optional. If you have cash, use cash for expansion diversification. If you want to raise more equity via FPO, via some kind of private placement, some preferable equity, do that. If you have some internal retained earnings, do that, but debt is not mandatory. The firms take debt. ऐसी कोई कंपनी नहीं है जो डेट नहीं लेती. There might be some lower amount of debt in the balance sheet, but debt रहती है. But debt is not mandatory for them. अगर वो debt नहीं लेंगे, the company will not wind up. ठीक है, वो कंपनी बंद नहीं हो जाएगी. बट अगर बैंक डेट नहीं लेगा, बैंक बंद हो जाएगा. Because debt is mandatory for bank. Debt is a raw material for bank. And hence, debt becomes compulsory for banks or NBFCs, which is not in case of the other kind of companies apart from the BFSI space. And hence, whenever we're looking at the profitability of the bank or how much return a bank gives to its shareholders, we tend to look always as ROE and not at ROCE. Though I always prefer, many analysts in the industry, many experts in the industry tend to say ROCE for all the companies, but banks are exceptional. I'll repeat these points. For banks, debt is a raw material. Debt is mandatory. For other companies, debt is not. Right? जिन कंपनीज के लिए डेट इज नॉट मैंडेटरी बट दे हैव टेकन डेट, दे हैव रेज्ड equity, they have taken debt as a part of their capital structure, they have to show that how much return they are making for the final capital providers, be it equity, be it the debt holders, be it the shareholders, be it the debt holders. But in case of bank, debt being the raw material, उनको रेज करना ही करना है. उस पर they aren't interested, they do not have a party called as debt holders ideally, right? उनको बस इंटरेस्ट देना है. Correct? They're not raising money as a company raises in terms of the non-banking financial firm, right? उनके लिए मैंडेटरी नहीं है, बट बैंक के लिए तो मैंडेटरी है. Hence, in that case, we look at ROE and not ROCE, right? And same concept goes with the free cash flows. Banks are discounted with the free cash flow to equity and not free cash flow to firm. I've explained that logic. What is free cash flow to firm? What is free cash flow to equity? Please refer my previous LinkedIn post and YouTube sessions, right? So equity के basis पर ही हम बैंक को value करते हैं. And equity क्या है? It's a book value. So all these concepts now tend to be interlinked. Price to book, ROE. दोनों केसेस में हम शेयर होल्डर्स को ही देख रहे हैं. हम बुक वैल्यू ही देख रहे हैं बिकॉज बुक वैल्यू इज नथिंग बट फॉर शेयर होल्डर्स इक्विटी. करेक्ट? सो जब भी निफ्टी 50 को, दैट्स माई पर्सनल अंडरस्टैंडिंग, जब भी कोई निफ्टी 50 को सिर्फ प्राइस टू अर्निंग के बेसिस पे वैल्यू करता है, आई एम अ बिट स्केप्टिकल. आई एम अ बिट स्केप्टिकल ऑलवेज. Because if you see the Nifty 50 companies, correct? And like before we go in there, like one more logic I will tell you. If we talk about cyclical industries, heavy industrial companies like clean energy, renewable energies, capital goods, defense is the theme as of now. Defense में लोग पैसा डाले जा रहे हैं, right? Price to earning will be misleading because what happens? The basic bookish funda क्या होता है ना? Buy at low P and sell at high P. ठीक है? Previous video में we talked about that logic might not stand true because we have to see growth, cash flows and financial modeling valuation की हमने बात करी थी. But in case of these cyclical industries like capital goods, or renewable energy themes, or defense companies, right? The logic is buy always at a high P and sell always at a low P. The logic interchanges. Buy always at a high P and sell always at a lower P. And why do we say that? The logic says that whenever you are buying those defense companies, right, at a low P, जब भी आप डिफेंस कंपनीज को एट अ लो पी बाय कर रहे हो, राइट, यू आर रॉन्ग. व्हाई? बिकॉज टिल दैट पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम they have already reached their earning peak. They have a cycle of like 4 to 5 years. At the end of a fourth year or fifth year, their earnings tend to peak. When their earnings peak, they decline, they become stagnant, or they come down for the next 3 to 4 years. Correct? So अगर हम प्राइस टू अर्निंग की बेसिस पे इन कंपनीज को खरीद रहे हैं, their earnings have already reached the peak. Since their earnings have already reached the peak, the price to earning seems to be undervalued. It seems to be very low, and that is the wrong time we are purchasing those companies, right? कि earnings की peak पे आ गए हैं, and that point we are purchasing those companies, and we sell those companies when the price to earning becomes high. नहीं करना उस टाइम. Price to earning high कब होगा? When the EPS is low. At that point of time, those companies are increasing their earnings. They're getting projects. Generally, for these companies who get projects, we tend to see a book to build ratio. The book to build ratio generally for good qualities, capital good companies or cyclical companies, defense, clean energy are more than one. Book is the orders that you are getting, built जो बना दिया है. It means जो बना दिया है उससे ज्यादा orders you are getting. So they have a gestation period of 3 to 4 years. They're converting their revenues. So the price to earning high hai, you have to buy those companies because in that phase, they're increasing their revenues, they're converting their pipelines, they're converting their order books to income, right? So always the price to book for those companies, because price to book will not manipulate you. Because whenever the price to earning for these companies is low, which is the incorrect time to purchase, these will always see the price to book value being high. Whenever the price to earning of these companies is low, right? When you buy it, ideally the price to book value is high at that time. It means you should sell. And whenever the price to earning is high for these companies, when you actually want to sell it, the price to book value is low. At that time, you should buy them. So always buy such kind of companies based upon price to book. Now coming back to this, so निफ्टी 50 कंपनीज को यूजुअली हम प्राइस टू अर्निंग के बारे में बात करें तो प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू के भी इसके नंबर्स आते हैं, बट मेजरली हम प्राइस टू अर्निंग की बात करते हैं. बट इफ यू सी ना निफ्टी 50, 33%, 35% नॉट इज द BFSI स्पेस, राइट? एंड वो तो प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू पर ही वैल्यू होता है, राइट? तो एज एन इंडेक्स अगर हम प्राइस टू अर्निंग पे वैल्यू कर रहे हैं द हेवी वेटर्स, राइट? Again, I'm not sure if price to earning is the correct one because maximum weightage is the BFSI space, and overall अगर हम price to earning पे कर रहे हैं the maximum weightage sectors might be valued on an incorrect basis, which I believe, right? You see like Reliance Industries heavy weight है, price to book पे value होगा. Now these industries are complicated. I'm not trying to recommend stocks कि ये खरीदो. Just in general, I'm giving you example. There is no advice to buy these stocks. Consult your investment advisor, CFA, CA person to purchase these or not. Right? मैं advice नहीं दे रहा हूँ. Clearly बता रहा हूँ. It's a disclaimer. Just for the reference purpose. I'm telling you based upon की which company is asset light, like which is asset intensive, which is from the BFSI space and so on. Reliance. These kind of businesses are complicated to value. We tend to value them upon sum of parts and all these kind of stuffs. EVA beta आ जाते हैं, price to book value आ जाती है, price to earning भी like कुछ companies में होगा, but this is industries. इसमें multiple subsidiaries come into place. तो यहाँ पे I'm not trying to comment upon this company because the valuation is complex. It will take time. Then you have this HDFC बैंक है, price to book value. TCS प्राइस टू अर्निंग पे हो जाएगा बिकॉज IT कंपनी है, इट्स एन एसेट लाइट कंपनी. भारतीय एयरटेल प्राइस टू बुक है EV टू बेटा पर होगा. ICICI प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, स्टेट बैंक प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, इन्फोसिस प्राइस टू अर्निंग, बजाज फाइनेंस प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर प्राइस टू अर्निंग पे कर सकते हो. इट्स काइंड ऑफ अ मीडियोकर कंपनी दैट कम्स बिटवीन एसेट लाइट एंड एसेट इंटेंसिव. ITC प्राइस टू अर्निंग पे कर सकते हो. अगेन ITC being a complicated business, you have different subsidiaries, different businesses like ITC hotels have been hived off as well as a separate company. तो उसकी valuation can be a complex. Larsen Turbo heavy है, L&T cyclical price to book value, HCL price to earning, Kotak again price to book value, मारुति सुजुकी ऑटोमोबाइल है, प्राइस टू अर्निंग पे कर सकते हो. सन फार्मा प्राइस टू अर्निंग, एक्सिस बैंक प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा प्राइस टू अर्निंग, अल्ट्राटेक प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू और EV टू एबिटा, राइट? सीमेंट कंपनी NTPC प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू और EV टू एबिटा, बजाज फिनसर्व प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, ऑयल नेचुरल गैस EV टू एबिटा और प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू. यू हैव EV टू नेचुरल गैस मल्टीपल, लाइक हम उसकी बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. टाइटन प्राइस टू अर्निंग कर सकते हो. अदानी पोर्ट्स कॉम्प्लिकेटेड कंपनी है, प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू और लाइक EV टू एबिटा. भारत इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू और EV टू एबिटा. Adani Enterprises, complicated valuation, same as Reliance Industries or ITC. Wipro, price to earning. Power Grid, heavy cyclical company है, price to book value. टाटा मोटर्स प्राइस टू अर्निंग कर सकते हो, जेएसडब्ल्यू स्टील प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू और ईवी टू एबिटा, कोल इंडिया अगेन प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, एटर्नल कंज्यूमर टेक डिस्क्रिशनरी कंपनी है, जोमेटो है अपनी, प्राइस टू अर्निंग कर सकते हो। बजाज ऑटो प्राइस टू अर्निंग फाइन, नेस्ले प्राइस टू अर्निंग, एशियन पेंट्स प्राइस टू अर्निंग, ट्रेंड प्राइस, टाटा स्टील ईवी टू एबिटा, ईवी पर टन प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, जियो फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, ग्रासिम complicated business like Reliance, right? Price to book or EV to EBITDA, majorly. SBI Life Insurance, price to book value, but for life insurance companies, they have specifically multiples called as EV to embedded value, right? So that's a separate thing. But अगर मुझे प्राइस टू अर्निंग या प्राइस टू बुक पे चूज करना हो, आई चूज प्राइस टू बुक और प्राइस टू एम्बेडेड वैल्यू। फॉर इंश्योरेंस कंपनी बुक वैल्यू सेम एज एम्बेडेड वैल्यू। टेक महिंद्रा प्राइस टू अर्निंग कर सकता हूँ, HDFC Life Insurance, same logic as the SBI Life Insurance. Eicher Motors, price to earning. Hindalco, price to book. Shriram Finance, price to book. Cipla, price to earning. Dr. Reddy, price to earning. Tata Consumer Products, price to earning. Apollo, price to earning. Hero MotoCorp, price to earning. IndusInd Bank, a BB है, price to book value. So majorly we can see the companies shall be valued in a Nifty 50 based upon price to book. एंड जो कंपनीज भी वैल्यू बेस्ड अपॉन प्राइस टू अर्निंग, ऐसा नहीं है कि उनको प्राइस टू बुक पे नहीं कर सकते, प्राइस टू बुक इज वैलिड फॉर ऑल। देन व्हाई वी शुड सी द वैल्यूएशंस बेस्ड अपॉन प्राइस टू अर्निंग ओनली, प्राइस टू बुक क्यों नहीं देख सकते? करेक्ट। तो अगर मैं वापस जाऊं, इफ आई सी निफ्टी 50 पीबी रेशियो, सेम जो हम प्रीवियस सेशन में कर रहे थे, ट्रेंड लाइन में चलते हैं। अभी करंट कितना चल रहा है? निफ्टी 50 पीबी रेशियो 3.6, 3.6। सितंबर हाई का टाइम कितना था वो भी देख लेते हैं। सॉरी मैं 23 पे चला गया, माय बैड। एक रेंज ले लेता हूँ। 4.14 अंडर वैल्यूड आ रहा है। करेक्ट। एंड सेम थिंग वी कैन डू फॉर अ निफ्टी 150 और निफ्टी 250 इंडेक्स, अगर उनके केस में भी दे आर कमिंग अंडर वैल्यूड। उसमें भी यू कैन सी अ लिस्ट ऑफ कंपनीज एंड सी कौन सी कंपनीज हैवी है, प्राइस टू अर्निंग यूज करें, प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू यूज करें, दैट्स अ होमवर्क फॉर यू। ठीक है। अगर मैं लिस्ट ऑफ कंपनीज भी निकाल लूँ यार, मैं सारी कंपनीज मिल जाएंगी। देखो, लिस्ट ऑफ कंपनीज इन निफ्टी 150 मिड कैप इंडेक्स, बहुत सारी वेबसाइट्स हैं, सारी कंपनीज दे देंगी। ACC, अशोक लेलैंड, ऑल दीज अशोक लेलैंड टूवर्ड्स अपना ये बसेस में हो गया, बर्जर पेंस, भारत फोर्ज, ब्लू स्टार, ये सारे लिस्ट ऑफ कंपनीज आ जाएंगे। बट आई एम श्योर मैक्सिमम कंपनीज में तुम्हारी पाइप इंडस्ट्रीज होंगी, एचसॉ, एलसॉ पाइप्स, ERW पाइप्स, ऑल दीज काइंड ऑफ कंपनीज मेजरली प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू पर ही होंगे। एंड सेम निफ्टी 50 स्मॉल कैप, तो देख लो PI इंडस्ट्रीज है टुवर्ड्स केमिकल्स है, प्राइस टू अर्निंग कर सकते हो। जनरल इंश्योरेंस कॉर्पोरेशन, EV टू एम्बेडेड, प्राइस टू एम्बेडेड वैल्यू पे होगा। फिनिक्स हैवी है, प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू पे। NMDC, SDFN, हाउसिंग अर्बन डेवलपमेंट, हैवी कंपनीज, प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू। कंटेनर कॉर्पोरेशन, सारी इसमें तो एक के बाद एक प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू दिख रही है। सुजलॉन प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, ठीक है, भारतीय हेक्साकॉम प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू और लाइक EV टू एबिटा। बीच में कंपनीज आ रही हैं लाइक बायोकॉन एंड द जुबिलेंट फूड वर्क्स जो प्राइस टू अर्निंग पे कर, JK सीमेंस, भारत डायनामिक्स, पेट्रोनेट LNG, टोरेंट पावर, प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू वाली कंपनीज है। मुथूट फाइनेंस, फोर्टिस, फोर्टिस प्राइस टू अर्निंग पे कर सकते हो। ये वोडाफोन इंडिया प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू और EV टू एबिटा और EV पर आरपू, ऑल दीज मेट्रिक्स आर देयर। एस्ट्रल, ये पाइप कंपनीज हैं, राइट। मोतीलाल ओसवाल फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज, PB, इंडस टावर PB 361, NTPC मेजरली PB पर ही हो रही है। सेम निफ्टी 250 में भी होगा, तो देखो एक बारी, दैट्स अ होमवर्क फॉर यू। ठीक है। सो दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज बेसिकली टेलिंग यू दैट व्हाई neglect प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू, इट्स गिविंग यू मच मोर बेटर इंडिकेशन, बिकॉज एनीवेज वी हैव टू फोकस टुवर्ड्स द बुक वैल्यू फॉर दीज बिजनेसेस, बी टुवर्ड्स द BFSI space or towards the heavy industrial cyclical company space. Okay, that's it for today. We'll talk much more in the next connect. Thank you.